We will begin. And Jeff, do you want to start us off and
Yeah,
take it from there?
let's get this show on the road. So good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Art of the Hills Awards ceremony. We're so happy to have Seung Lee and soon Amy Myers back with us. I do not envy them their task that they went through in selecting from such a remarkable body of work to pick some winners for tonight. But at least here, we will have the satisfaction of having somebody definitively win something, even though that's not going on in the rest of the country right now. So we've got that to look forward to. I especially want to welcome all the artists who are here with us tonight. And there's something that I'd like to share with you before we get started. Since we opened Art of the Hills last month, I've had the opportunity to throw on my mask and visit the exhibition with dozens of guests. And I want to try and convey something that you all have accomplished collectively. In the midst of a pandemic, a tumultuous election season, when the whole world seems upside down, you have created an experience that took people out of their everyday worlds. If only for a short time. Together, you all created a space where people felt joy, they felt peace, where they stopped to smile, where they pondered, where they were conversing about your art. And from everyone, I heard the same thing, how much they needed this, how much they needed to connect with art so that they could, even briefly, disconnect from the turbulence of the world right now. So thank you. You did that. All of you. You made a difference through your work, and I thought that you should know that since we cannot all be in the space together today. So thank you. And thank you to everyone else who made this possible. Amy and Seung, of course, our fabulous jurors, our Art of the Hills committee, Missy, Helen, Eileen, Ronald, Denise, Adrian, and Mark. Lee Bank for sponsoring this year's show, and to our staff for putting together such a beautiful exhibition with your work. So, keeping it brief, let's go ahead and get on with our program. I'm going to turn things over to Craig Langlois, our Chief Experience Officer, and he'll take it from here. So, Craig.
Thanks, Jeff. And Amy, welcome. I'm glad you were able to join us.
My sincerest apologies. I won't even go into it.
That's the story for another day, but we're super glad that you're here. And welcome, everyone. Tonight, we have gathered to recognize a few artists that our jurors felt rose above all those that are accepted into Art of the Hills narrative. Awardees displaying tonight or announced tonight will be invited to have solo exhibitions in the museum in a brand new space coming in online in 2021. We'll be sharing more details on that space and other improvements to the museum shortly. So be on the lookout for another invitation to hear about all the exciting changes and improvements coming to the museum. And tonight we're going to try to make things as suspenseful as possible. You'll notice some black boxes labeled honorable mention, second place and first place. As we go through tonight's program and announce winners, I'll ask the award winners to join us and share some thoughts on their work with you, the audience. But before we make our first announcement, I'd like to welcome back our esteemed jurors, Amy Myers and Seung Lee. I'll also be asking Amy and Seung to weigh in on their choices. Before we announce our first honorable mention, Amy and Seung, just kind of an open question. Can you give us any insight into your decision process here? What were you looking at when you made these selections? Amy, do you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I just want to say that it was very, very difficult. I did this over the course of probably a week, at least a week and a half. I felt like there were so many particular strengths I found in all the work that we juried together. So I just want to say first and foremost that it was extremely difficult. This did not come easy. I think that what I finally kind of came to when I selected the winners was I feel like the winning work just had this really particular kind of undeniable presence to it. Like I felt like they were so riveting and so powerful that like as an artist, it just seemed to hit all of the criteria. You know, it hit it on like, you know, content, formal issues, use of the medium, impact, like all of the stuff that really knocks me off my feet. I found were in these pieces. So I was very, very impressed. And like I said, it was really tough, really tough.
Thanks. Seung, same question.
Well, it is. I mean, what Jeff said was really wonderful. That in this difficult time, that we were able to enjoy the work. I mean, I went there to experience myself because it was only fair way. I thought that I have to see it in person, and it was incredible amount. I mean, I thought it was very difficult. I agree with Amy. It was very difficult looking at so much great work. But even going in there, trying to now second phase, trying to pick a word who's first and second. I mean, I was torn. I circled around, told my wife she had to follow me over and over. And I said, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? So it was very difficult, yet it was very wonderful experience that Jeff mentioned. Jeff just said it, that give me the chance to go away from everything and just be with the artwork, that each artist brought their own ideas, experience, and amount of skill. I mean, it was just mind-boggling. It
Yeah.
was, whether it was sculpture, 2D, photography, mixed media, it was just mind-boggling how much talent it was there. I mean, so congratulations to everybody, not just to the winner, but to everybody who's in the show and who even applied, because there are a lot of artists in there. I wish we showed everybody's work, but thank you.
All right. So how this is going to work is we will kind of move through our awardees, and I'll ask them to kind of join us as we go through. And Amy and Seung, any extra thoughts you want to add on these individual works as we pop them up on the screen here are more than welcome. And our first honorable mention went to Natalie Tyler for her honeycomb crystal glass piece. And I don't believe Natalie is with us tonight. I'm not seeing her in our list. So congratulations to Natalie. And Amy, any thoughts you want to share on this work in particular?
Yeah, I was really struck by the like the specificity of it, kind of combined with the fragility of it, you know. And I think that the handling of the medium was so kind of like seductive in a way. Like it was kind of like it was like kind of both like transparent and opaque. It was structured, but yet it had this kind of gestural, kind of hand felt kind of feeling to it. I thought that the color was just, I like the monochromatic kind of color to it. And I think I also really loved that it was from nature. It was like, kind of brought up questions of like art mimicking nature, nature mimicking art. I found that it was absolutely beautiful. And I just kind of felt compelled, like I wanted to kind of hold it in my hand. You know, I had that kind of sense of like wanting to like touch it. And I thought I find it to be just a very compelling, beautiful object. So.
Excellent. Thank you. Seung, any thoughts you want to?
Yes, I agree with Amy on that warmth, that light. When I saw it in real life, I thought it was such a gorgeous piece. It's more like a jewelry that I was looking at. And I think the subject-wise, because it's about the narrative whole show, I mean, we do have a huge concern about the bee being disappearing, which has been throughout our history. We have been using bee as not just as a food product, but as a art, visual art, in cave art, one of the very first visual element, whether it's a bee hunters or bee itself, it has been represented visually throughout the art history from the really early age, and every culture. It's not just Western art. So that really the social issue that this piece also brought in made me think that also there's such a way that artists make certain area empty, certain area enclosed. So it just gave me the feeling of that warm yet that white empty area, give me that emptiness that we have to take care of. So I thought it was beautifully executed in terms of communicating our problem, social problem, economical problem, whatever you call it, and the making of it. So I think that two connected really well.
Nice.
Can I say one more thing real quickly about it?
Of course.
The other like compelling piece to this work for me was that it feels silent. Like it feels like it's just kind of communicating and it's very kind of silent. Like when I look at it, I kind of go silent. Like I feel like I'm contemplating it. There's so much interest. I love the intricacies, how you can kind of come in and out of the piece. You know, it's creating this like positive, negative space. I feel like I can kind of breathe with it. But I love, there's like a stillness to it that I really, really find provocative. So I just throw that in.
Well, thank you. And congratulations to Natalie. We are recording, so we'll be able to share both of your thoughts with her. We are going to move on to our next honorable mention, who is with us tonight. And our second honorable mention went to Pat Hogan for Lockdown. So Pat, I'm going to ask you to turn on your camera.
We're trying.
Congratulations, Pat, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you, Greg. Is it on?
No.
We're not so great at this.
We can go with audio if you're having technical.
We'll find it ultimately. We're on an iPad. It says unable to access camera.
Okay. So we'll go with audio.
Okay.
All right.
We'll go with audio.
Well, congratulations, Pat. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much. Glad to be there.
Before I ask Amy and Seung to kind of weigh in on this piece, is there anything you'd like to share with the audience?
Sure. I have a few comments. First, I'd like to thank the Berkshire Museum, particularly and Jeff, for the Art Hills Narrative Show. And thanks too to Amy and Seung for the honorable mention awarded to my piece. It truly is just wonderful to be back there. I love the museum, everything about it, and I have truly missed not being able to spend enough time there. So this piece has a kind of a long history. Some of the elements in this piece have been languishing in my studio for decades. I love to collect rusting metal bits and weathered wood and things that have been trashed and discarded and deemed by some to be junk. And to me, they're just truly waiting to be repurposed and put together in a new, novel way. So I like the texture and color of rust. This particular piece includes some of my collected treasures that I've had forever. It includes an acrylic painting, it includes bits of nature, pebbles and sand, and all together it sort of forms a really highly textured surface, which I like to work with. The letters for me suggested a search for some understanding and meaning in this particularly difficult time we're living in. The piece is a response to this time. We are all experiencing the weight of isolation, fear of contamination, anger and sadness at the division in our society. So this really grew out of all of those things. And That's about it.
Well, thank you. And Sung, do you wanna start us off with some of your thoughts to this piece?
Yes, I mean, it's great to hear from the artist that, because I got the same feeling, because the lockdown, that the title gave me the that feeling of being kind of in close, but it's beautifully executed. I mean, I personally love this rust, because it just rust have this kind of history. It's almost like a past, and you made that connection, past to present to future, really beautifully in this visual. In some rust being past, the lockdown, the lock hinges being present, and future being undeciphered letters or some sort of, you said it, frustration, but I mean, to me, is we don't know the future. So I thought it was such a beautiful execution of the material and the concept. And this piece really struck me when I was visiting the museum. It really was, have to see it in real life, because I didn't, it's really hard to see those like subtleties, but I caught everything. So thank you.
Thank you,
Amy?
Sung.
Yeah, the thing that I'm like really struck with is just the way that you have used text and the pebbles, the way you've organized those two elements in this work. I think text sometimes can be very difficult to like kind of work with, but I love the way that you have like the way you've integrated, like on a formal level. You've really integrated in a seamless way the text into the surface. I call it a painting, sorry, into the surface of the painting. And I like the way you didn't like write like legible, words. It's almost like it really does feel like congruent with the experience of lockdown, like kind of fuzzy thinking, like, a little bit disorganized. And it's so loose and gently just kind of like floating, and it's, there's a little bit of movement. It kind of comes in and out. And I think that's just really beautiful. And then also the way you've organized those pebbles on the side. It's like, they kind of like, they're like stepping stones. It's like a way of moving through the painting in a really particular way. Like you move through the painting with the text, but then there's a second way of moving, which is with the pebbles. I like the way you've used those two elements in similar ways, but they give you different results. And I also really love that you've like reconstituted materials. I think that they kind of bring their own kind of temperature, their own history. And I look at it and it's like, I start to kind of imagine even like, where did this come from? I notice all the naturalism in it, the natural chemical composition, the natural rust, the nature. Once again, it has this deep kind of feeling of nature, but I just think it's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. Well, congratulations again, Pat. Thank you for joining us, and we're going to move on to our second place winner, or second place awardee. Winner is kind of a weird word to use in that setting. And second place went to Sally Eagle for her Grave Digger in Cuba. And Sally is with us. Sally, if you'd be so kind to, I could unmute you, but you need to turn on your camera. Hello, Sally.
Is it on?
It is on. We can see you.
Okay. Hey,
Hi.
thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Really, I want to thank the museum. I want to thank Craig, Amy, and Sung. And, I took this picture when I was traveling in Cuba in 2014 with a few other photographers. And we went actually to photograph a cemetery, because the cemeteries are quite beautiful in Cuba. And this gentleman who works in the cemetery was about to start his lunch break. And so we asked if it would be okay for him to be photographed. And he was a little perplexed. I mean, you can see it in his face. But what I found out afterwards, after looking at the photograph, was this guy has so much dignity, and just his state of being seemed very arresting to me. And I'm very glad it felt that way to the judges. So thank you all.
Yeah, well, thank you, Sally. And Amy, do you want to start us off with any thoughts on this?
Like, first of all, I'm struck by the position, like the way his body is positioned. It has a relationship to kind of like early Greek, like Koros statues. It's like a very kind of classical pose. So it has this kind of connection to antiquity, just in terms of the posturing. I mean, but the magnificence of this, it's almost like if this were like 500 feet tall, I would believe you. Like there's like, it's scaleless. Like it feels like this could be scaled up. It could be scaled down. It's like, it has that kind of like, I think because there's so much integrity in this image, I feel like it could really be whatever size it wanted to be. It's such a, and the facial features, like the quality of the photograph, like I'm there, like it's so atmospheric and it's so materialistic at the same time. I just I find it really riveting, compelling. I love, and even like compositionally, it's like he's like grounded, and the way he's like standing is grounded, but then even as you move up, like that kind of cap, like the hat has this kind of point where it's almost like, compositionally, you kind of can exit up through the cap, but then you swing right back around. So I feel like it's so strong. I can't take my eyes off of it. Like it just like focuses me in such a way that, and it's so compelling. I just really can't take my eyes off of it as an image, as a piece of art.
Seung, anything you want to add?
Oh boy, she said it all. But it does have that monumental quality. So it is something that, I mean, you're telling me it was just like almost like a snapshot. You ask him to pose, but it doesn't. To me, it looks like you set it up. You know, it's in the studio. You had this model. You want these guys to pose certain way, and because for this time, pandemic, I think we talked about it last time we were in the Zoom. It's just grave digger, the way you said it, but the title, he doesn't feel like a grave digger. He got so much power. If you look at the social status, maybe you can say the clothing is not really upscale, all things, but that you don't get that. It's so dignified that you just feel like you have him pose. Just the way Amy said, it's a very classical pose. So he is fantastic job with what was given. It was right there, the way you captured it. I don't get the feeling he was just traveling, you just happened to get it, but it's just so deep and magnificent, the way you captured it.
Very much.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, congratulations again, Sally. Thank you, Amy and Seung, for your thoughts. And we are going to move on to our first place winner. Now, it's kind of weird to like build suspense like in a Zoom session. I haven't really quite figured out like how to do it, like drum roll or
you gotta do something, or have your son go home or something.
Those levels of drama are not necessarily my strong point, so we're just gonna kind of roll with it and kind of come through. And Amy and Seung, you guys selected Julia Dixon's "What Will Be" as our first place juror's choice for Art of the Hills narrative. And Julia, you are with us, I believe. There you are. I'm going to unmute you. I'm going to try to unmute you anyway. Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Congratulations.
Thanks.
What would you like to share with us about this this amazing painting, this amazing work?
There's so much to say. Well, first, I hope everybody can go to this show and look at it. It's a 6 foot tall painting. It's got a lot of, it looks so much better in person. It has a real presence to it. So please go see it. But thank you guys so much. This is so exciting, and I'm honored, truly honored. This painting is a friend of mine. His name is Michael, and I process chickens with him on his farm every summer. For 4 summers I've been doing this. I eviscerate the chickens on his farm, and it's just a really good friend, a really interesting guy, and sort of occurred to me one day while we were processing these chickens that it's just how it just is a perfect scene of what I feel about life and death and mortality, and it's scary to me, and that's what it means to me. So it's a painting of him, it's a portrait of him, and I have all these little symbols in there about his life. They're bees and ants, and his son obviously is in there. So it's a story about him, but then it's also a story about just my own feelings about mortality. Not the sunniest painting, but that's what I have to say about it.
Well, thank you for sharing, and I'll take this moment to also mention that almost all of our artists were interviewed as part of this show, and all of those interviews, including Julia's, are available at explore.berkshiremuseum.org. You can go to the Art of the Hills tab on the top of the page, and it'll bring you to a listing of those artist interviews, and you can hear more insights directly from them on almost all of the works that are in the show. But Seung, do you want to start us off here and share your thoughts on this painting and why you chose it as our first place awardee?
When we were judging, I think we say the same thing about this piece, the presence, about all the Caravaggio to social realist to, it's got a lot of history behind it. But I was struck by how this painting is timeless. It can be viewed 18th century, 16th century, and now. And also it does have a futuristic, I mentioned about the hope that you just, like a Picasso's Guernica, you gave us some hope on this strange situation. You put this, the one part I didn't notice on image, but when I was viewing in real life, that the broken light really caught me on the left-hand side. I thought it was a light bulb shining those light, but then realized it's like, oh, wait a minute, that's broken, but light is coming through. So it was like that small element in real life just caught me. It's like that's what this painting did. It's like there's every section I looked at, there's so much symbolism that I just, in my own view, I was able to relate. My own storyline I can develop. So I thought it was like so interesting. I just was going around and pick certain area that yes, I didn't see the bee before because it's hard to see it here, but in real life, it was very evident. So it was incredible detail and your skill. It is just mind-boggling. It is just so skillful that I had a roommate, Julie Heffernan. I think
No.
I used to share a studio with her, and she had this kind of skill, and I was like, oh, I miss Julie. It's just like a skill because she does large painting in such a beautifully controlled, themes, and I just you're incredible. Yeah.
Amy, anything you want to add?
Or like on some level, I almost feel like it's like this enlarged, like illuminated manuscript, because it's like I totally see this in a way as like I can read that it's like your kind of like your view of life and death, and like it's like I can tell that's like the thrust of this work, and then everything else is like kind of in service to that, which I think only reinforces its presence and its poignancy. I love that you have, it's like you have a developed symbolic kind of language that you use, and that, you know, as an artist, your ability to develop that and resource that in your work, I think is a sign of longevity. It can be a sign of longevity, and it's very effective. Like, I mean, just on a formal level, like the top, like the bottom, almost like the bottom 1/3, you have this like beautiful dance between like darks to lights to darks to lights, right? So it's kind of illuminating like the ground he's standing on, and then the midsection is just a little bit more like in the shadows, but then these chickens are really highlighted, and behind his head you have this like luminescence, like swirling, dramatic kind of atmospheric event happening. And I just feel like the way that the like foreground and the background are both treated in such a like delicate, sensitive way that the light itself almost becomes a subject, I feel like, in this painting. And then also I love that he's a man holding a baby. I love that. Like, you know, it's almost like, to me, bringing on like small kind of references to like masculinity and you know, the way men, you know, function in our society. And I love that his look, like the look that he's giving you it's a bit confrontational. It's almost like he's like asking a question to himself, you know. It's like okay, sorry, I touched something. I'm not having a good tech day. But I like how he's holding my gaze. It's like he's making a demand of me. It's not like you walk up to it and you go, oh, whatever. Like, there's something being asked of me. I feel confronted a bit, and I like that because it's kind of engaging me in a deeper way. It's not just like a picture I'm looking at. I feel like I'm having to deal with something, which I completely appreciate. I think it's brilliant.
And brilliance is a great place to end it, right? That's a good word to sort of end our commentary on. And I just wanted to again thank Amy and Seung for their terrific work on this show. I wanted to congratulate all of our awardees tonight. And this is not where our Art of the Hills experiences end. Starting next Saturday with Amy and Seung, we'll be having a suite of virtual studios where we'll be able to look at their work, hear some more thoughts about their own work. But over the course of the next 2 months, numerous of the artists in this show will be opening up their doors virtually for us to visit their studios and hear more from them directly. So you can learn more about those events on explore.berkshiremuseum.org. They're all listed there, and you can do it all from the comfort of your home. So hopefully we'll see most of you or some of you over the next couple months. And again, just thank you to all for joining us tonight, and congratulations again to our winners. And we hope that we can join in person together sometime soon and celebrate this work and future shows at the museum. And with that, I will say goodnight to all, and congratulations again, and enjoy the weekend. And hopefully the weather will be nice wherever you guys are as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good night, all.
Bye. Good night.
Good night, Jeff.